In my view, the biggest challenge that lies ahead for general counsel is to continue to support the business in identifying and successfully implementing strategic and operating initiatives. It really arises from the fact that there are so many conflicting demands on general counsel, and we need to keep our eye on the ball of what our primary job has to be, helping the business be successful.
Delivering legal services on a global basis is a key challenge for many general counsel. More than half of our revenue is outside the United States, and we are delivering services in both established geographies and in emerging geographies, and where the rules aren't always very clear and the business models may be very different. So we have to establish the legal infrastructure and support around that global business to make sure that the company is able to move as quickly as it would like to. Another area that we're seeing a lot of change in is business models. Certainly every company is dealing with technology in one way or another, but in the software industry we're moving from established models of perpetual licensing to licensing in the cloud and subscription licensing, and this requires a lot of legal infrastructure around it, and it requires us to move very quickly because the external environment is moving very quickly.
The economic challenge is one we're all facing, which is doing more with less year after year. We've been facing that at IBM for all the time I've been there over the past 6.5 years. It forces us to reinvent our department, our function, to re-engineer how we do work, and to become fundamentally innovative. That's the one challenge that will be with us for quite a while. On the professional side, the challenge I'd like to mention is the one that arises when lawyers are called on to give advice in a variety of circumstances. Sometimes, if we don't maintain our professional discipline, we can conflate or confuse our basic advice about risk assessment or risk analysis into our legal analysis. And I think we always need to keep these two separate and be very clear about them when we communicate with our clients. Clients deserve clear, practical, and direct advice on legal matters as to what the right answer is, and if we don't know what the right answer is, to at least let them know we're not certain, but tell them what the right answer should be. And we shouldn't confuse that analysis with our own personal view of what the risks are and how the risks ought to be addressed or mitigated. Those are two separate things, and I think as a professional matter, we have a very clear obligation to make sure that when talking to our clients, they understand which points we're addressing and how we're basing our judgment.
Politics have gotten trickier, the economics have gotten trickier, what's going to happen in the Eurozone, what's going to happen in the French election, what's going to happen in the government in China, and all these things affect multinational companies. And they actually affect all companies, whether they're multinational or not, because these things all affect the US a lot more than they did. So I think a general counsel really has to think of him or herself as a chief risk officer, chief ethics officer, chief compliance officer, and really somebody who's, whether it's true on an organization chart or not, somebody who's, in large part responsible for what happens to the company.